This is ToBeSeen.com, and you are now in the console room. I welcome you, friend and foe alike. We're supposed to have a special guest, but some timing and scheduling got messed up, and she is taking care of some things, so she's more than welcome back anytime. And we hope everything goes well with the family. Don't like to air people's personal business, but joining me in this venture, we are going to be talking about the Fourth Doctor, as you saw by the thumbnail. He is the most beloved Doctor, I think, of the classic Who series. I've never met him. I did meet Sylvester McCoy, and I have a special affinity in my heart for Sylvester. But uh, this is the Doctor that I know that got me into Doctor Who with my grandmother, and we are going to dive into that world of Doctor Who. But before we do that, I just want to introduce your host, Ernesto, the Chief.
Time Lords, Time Ladies, welcome back to the console room. Yes, we are adorned tonight in the regalia of the great, the impeccable, the immortal, the paramount, if you will, the great Tom Baker.
Right. So let
This
us talk
was
about.
his first episode. This was his first episode, airing in 1974, and just what a beginning. Joe, roll that Dr. Foot.
Doctor Who?
Doctor Who? Doctor Who? Doctor Who?
Fellas, you're never going to stop asking.
Yes, the Fourth Doctor, Tom Baker, slides across the screen in this episode called The Robot, hanging out with the amazing Sarah Jane Smith. Smiles and delights all around. Very fun to see her and him together. I didn't remember that she had been a companion since John Pertwee.
Yes, she was. In fact, it wasn't a very well known again in the U.S. Because it was only Tom Baker's Doctor that really came to the U.S. We didn't get any of the previous Doctors until after Tom Baker's Doctor made a foothold in American culture on PBS, and people actually, after tuning into I Claudius, they will, oh well, what's Doctor Who? And here's this man who, to quote Sarah Jane,
Ooh.
teeth and curls.
Yeah.
But with an incredible sense of humor. And this episode, this storyline, Robot, really, more than any that we have watched so far, really sets the stage for who this Doctor truly is. In one line in particular, towards the end of this episode, Tom Baker says something the Doctor says something along the lines of, what good is being a grown-up if you can't be childish?
Mm-hmm.
And in that one line, he encapsulated, not encapsulated international, but encapsulated what, a cheap plug, he encapsulated what and who his Doctor was going to be.
Right.
He told the audience, get ready for something completely different. Tom Baker, born January 20th, 1934. So 40 years old when Robot aired. Fairly young in comparison to his three predecessors. So to his time, the youngest of all the Doctors. He played so much with who he was. Starting out, yes, he, as we all know, when the Doctor first regenerates, his synapses are a little, they're not snapping. So he is ordered to sickbay with a new character who we'll get into in Companions, Dr. Harry Sullivan, for observation. And of course, being the Doctor, he's not staying in sickbay. He has to get right to the TARDIS.
Right. So the interesting thing about this Doctor is he's very tall, and he tries to portray himself as being somebody fit who's ready to go and trying to get out of this. But what's more interesting is the plot. I think this is the first time that we're not dealing with an alien for the first time.
It is, in fact. This is now, admittedly, I have not seen as many of the first two Doctors. I have seen many John Pertwee episodes, but this was, I believe, and folks, correct me in the comments, correct me on socials if I'm wrong on this, but I believe that this was the first episode where they were not dealing with an extraterrestrial issue. There was not an extraterrestrial enemy for the Doctor to fight. This adversary was completely human born, for want of a better word. Which
did you feel like the villains in this one needed red hats? Did you get that feeling?
Red hats. I don't know about red hats, but definitely maybe black hats. Oh wait. Oh, I just got it.
You got it. There it is.
I just got it.
Yeah.
They were definitely a mega group.
They were.
Yeah. They definitely. There was definitely some foreshadowing to American politics 50 years later.
Yep.
But you know what? Let's save the political discussion for another podcast.
Yeah. That's not our forte. But I just wanted to throw that one out there because they gave.
I got you. Took me a minute.
Yeah.
Because we're talking Doctor Who. You say red hat, I'm thinking Fez.
No.
So.
But yeah, so it was interesting that we got a villain that was an automaton who was made by a human, but getting into the Doctor himself, Tom Baker, who's new to the role, new on the spin, he has this like charming like charisma about him. He's got the riz, as they say.
His charm, his riz, the Tom Baker riz was just up front from the first time he came out in his nightgown.
Yeah.
And a throwback. I don't know if you caught this. A throwback to Spearhead from Space, the first John Pertwee episode.
Also in the hospital in the beginning, yeah.
Also in the hospital, but where was the TARDIS key?
In
the Doctor's boot. Yes.
Yep. Yeah.
So
nice little
Easter egg before the term was coined.
Yeah.
And I love that Tom was playing with his personality and with his wardrobe. We'd seen other Doctors experimenting with what they were going to wear.
Yeah.
But all those other Doctors were after Tom Baker. So all of those other Doctors were really a homage to what Tom did in Robot. And the outfits that he had.
Yeah.
Full Viking with horn helmet, Harlequin, King of Diamonds, and the Brigadier just nodding.
Yeah.
And the least of evils is he comes out with the floppy hat and scarf. That is the least of the costumes that the Doctor comes out with. And that is deemed acceptable.
Right. But it worked.
It worked. It worked. And it proved, as we see later in the episode, it proved to be a handy offensive instrument.
Yeah. Let's hop in. Since you mentioned the Brigadier, I have a question for you, and let's hop into
Yes.
companions.
See, I met this person and I got whooshed away across all space and time. I mean, I had the most amazing adventures, really. I mean, you wait till you hear, because I'm going to tell you them all.
Absolutely love that actor. So the Brigadier is hanging out with the Doctor as they make some plans, but he had like a kind of lieutenant that was with him, and that lieutenant was, I don't remember his name, the actor's name, nor the character, but he was running around for most of the show. And when the villain came out, and the villain was straight acing people, that's unaliving, so to speak, in the modern terms, because you can't say certain words on the internet. But when he was unaliving people and with the death ray, so to speak, or the
The
unalive ray,
disintegration gun.
the disintegration gun, yes.
Yeah. Great 70s writing and description for it. The actor's name was Ian Martyr, 1944 to 1986.
Oh, he passed.
Played Lieutenant Dr. Harry Sullivan.
Oh.
He was a naval officer. You could see the difference in uniforms,
Oh, yeah, you're right.
which is also why he called it sick bay as opposed to the infirmary.
Yes.
Doctor even checks him on that. He goes, don't you mean infirmary?
Yes.
No, sick bay, which is a
naval
term,
just like in Star Trek.
just like in Star Trek. Yes.
So what's interesting,
Everything goes back to Star Trek.
Yeah, everything goes back to Star Trek. So what's interesting with this episode is most of the people, I'm not sure about their other villains, but most of the people have passed on except for the Doctor. The fourth Doctor is 93 years, right?
No, 90 years young.
Oh, just 90. Okay, 90 years young.
Tom Baker, born January 20th,
1930.
1934.
34.
So,
okay.
So just turned 90. Bless him. Many more years. A toast to you, Doctor. Tom Baker, for the longest running Doctor.
Yeah, 7 years.
7 seasons. Yeah, 7 series. And he had almost a Nimoy-esque love-hate relationship with Doctor Who.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
The 20th anniversary, The Five Doctors, a Peter Davison serial, featured John Pertwee, Patrick Troughton, and Peter Davison as the Fifth Doctor. The first Doctor, William Hartnell, had passed on at this point. This was 1983. So he was recast. And Tom Baker, the most popular Doctor, was asked to reprise his role as the Fourth Doctor. And in a very Nimoy, I am not Spock.
Oh, wow.
Method, just was like, no, I'm not interested.
Wow.
I don't know. I would have to check. And folks, again, please fact check me in the comments. Fact check me on Instagram, on TikTok. I don't believe that Tom had any other projects that were conflicting with.
Oh, shoot. It's like, well, are you busy? Yeah, I'm busy. I got this thing. I got to unravel. What is it?
Unravel the scarf.
Yeah. Was it frogging?
He was frogging the scarf.
Yeah, he was frogging the scarf
in his own life.
Couldn't make it.
So what they did was, in this particular episode, there was one Tom Baker episode called Shada, written by the incomparable, the great, immortal Douglas Adams.
So I got our first comment here. Tom later regretted not doing it. Thank you very much.
Yes, he did.
Cam Dog.
Yes, he did. And
appreciate it. And I love the Victory of the Daleks that you have there. I love the thumbnail. Welcome to the console room.
Thank you to who was that who made the comment?
Ken Chem Dog.
Thank you very much, ChemDog. Thank you for joining us and welcome to the console room.
Yeah.
That is our first comment on our live show. Dude, get in touch with us. I have something special just for you.
There you go.
We will mail out to you.
There you go.
So yeah, the scenes with Tom Baker for the Five Doctors were excerpts from an episode called Shada, written by Douglas Adams, which never aired. So they used these clips for the Five Doctors. And yes, as Ken said, he did later in life regret it, which is why an 80-plus Tom Baker returned for the 50th anniversary as the caretaker.
Yes. Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, I love that little cameo too. I was surprised he didn't show up for the Jodie Whittaker one too, because they were all just.
Well, again, 90 years.
But he was
90 years
young.
Wasn't
90 yet. That was.
How long but coming up on it, and look, I'm just happy he's still with us.
Yeah.
And still, doing the amazing photo shoot and looking as handsome as he always has.
But what chemistry did Doctor Who and Sarah Jane have?
Sarah Jane, wonderful, wonderful Sarah Jane. This is why we see.
Oh, he just turned 90 in January. That's awesome. Thanks, Kevin.
Yes. But this is why we see and hear in the 60th anniversary, we hear Doctors 14 and 15 discussing Sarah Jane Smith because she's wonderful Elizabeth Slaton, who we lost in 2011, just a beautiful young lady in 74, and when she reprised her role with the 10th Doctor in 2006, still a stunningly beautiful woman.
Yep.
But Sarah Jane was the first quote-unquote love interest.
Interesting.
For the Doctor. If it wasn't
specifically for this Doctor.
Yes. Well, arguably for the Doctor in general, because she did stay. She initially started with the Third Doctor and continued on to the Fourth Doctor. In fact, in the 20th anniversary of the Five Doctors, they actually paired Elizabeth Slaton with the Third Doctor. And it was then that she said, but you changed, you became all teeth and curls.
Yeah. Speaking of teeth and curls, the other companion that we got.
Yes, there he is.
Got some teeth and sideburns. Is it me, or does he have a facial structure similarity to Matt Smith?
A bit, because he's all chin.
Maybe that's
so. Yeah, so he's so he's very chinny.
Yeah,
it's a bit chinny.
Let's see.
Let me find Ian. Ian played Lieutenant.
Yeah, you had gotten into him already.
Yes, he was strictly a companion for the Fourth Doctor. He was in, I believe, three seasons, possibly only two. I'm not 100% sure. Harry Sullivan, kind of a secondary character. Not really sure exactly why. Maybe I'm assuming he being the voice of, because Sarah Jane had come to terms with the fact that the Doctor was a Time Lord, come to terms with this blue box was bigger on the inside than it was on the out. He was now the voice of the audience who was new and
was shocked and in awe of everything that was going on.
In shock and awe of the Doctor having two hearts. playing jump rope with him, as we saw in this episode.
Yeah, that was fun.
Uh,
That's the thing, the jovialness, the childlike
yeah, very.
actor that portrayed this doctor. It made it a lot of fun. I think his charisma and his wit is why he lasted so long and why it
without a doubt, and
stayed in high ratings as far as long.
his interactions with the fans.
Yeah.
Also, everyone from Simon Pegg to Peter Capaldi.
Oh.
To David Tennant. All they have all regaled us with stories of meeting Tom Baker. Simon Pegg, in his autobiography, talks about meeting Tom Baker and waiting in line. Tom Baker offered him a jelly baby.
No way.
Back on, yes.
That's kind of cool.
At the appearance, Tom Baker offered him a jelly baby.
Harry Sullivan was brought on because they weren't sure if they were going to go for a first Doctor type. Interesting.
Well, also, he's a young, handsome, devil-may-care for the early 70s. So I guess maybe because they went a different way with the Doctor. Remember, we're coming off the heels of John Pertwee, who was the action swinger, Austin Powers-esque Doctor. Yeah. So they wanted to keep a character similar in vein, so they brought him on, and it kind of really didn't work.
No. Which is why he was only on for 1 or 2 seasons.
Yeah. We see later on in episodes, in storylines like Genesis of the Daleks, probably the ultimate in Tom Baker stories. Harry Sullivan is really just a third wheel.
Yeah. Well, speaking of third wheel, we have a third act which features an amazing villain, and let's get into the enemies.
I shall now kill you, Doctor.
Yes, the villain in this, as we discussed, was a giant robot created by a mad scientist. Now, I am of the mind to think that, when I was 1984 living to 1986 in Westchester with my family watching Doctor Who, I picked up a game called Mega Man. And I am wondering if this doctor was the inspiration for the mad scientist Dr. Wily, who created.
It's funny you say that. I was never a big video game person.
Oh, wow.
When I saw Professor Kettlewell, the over hairsprayed, balding gray hair was just way too much like throwing Einstein in your face. To me, that's what I got from Kettlewell.
Gotcha.
However,
that makes sense because that's probably what they were going for at that time.
Probably,
but
because let's face it, Einstein was Professor Einstein. Even if you don't know anything about physics, you can show anyone a picture of Albert Einstein and they know immediately who it is, and that's partially because of the crazy hair.
Yeah.
One thing I did notice, and I actually really enjoyed, was for any of our fans who have read the Robot series by Dr. Isaac Asimov.
Asimov, yeah.
Asimov set the principles of robotics.
Yeah, they kept toying with it here.
Well, they actually came flat out. They never credited Asimov, but they said flat out that a robot cannot harm a human. And
right.
That's one of the fundamentals of the laws of robotics. The laws of robotics go so far, again, going back to Star Trek. The laws of robotics, Asimov's laws of robotics, are used in the creation of Lieutenant Commander Data.
Yep.
So these are very astute principles that transcend every form of science fiction. Doesn't matter who is writing, who is directing. Asimov's laws of robotics are paramount, and they are universal.
Yeah.
And the fact
So
that they,
ChemDog is saying Tom was 40 when he got the role, so Harry was redundant. Yeah.
yes, that is true. Since Tom was technically younger than John Pertwee, but again, it was character traits, whereas John Pertwee was the Bond-esque swinger, Venusian
Yeah, the
Aikido
action hero. Yeah.
action hero, whereas Tom took Patrick Troughton's clown and multiplied it by a factor of 1,000.
Yeah. But back to the villain here, this robot. He was made out of, like, I guess you would say, a liquid metal, because he was
Yeah.
able to enlarge
Mhm.
to the size of the tower there. What did you
And
think?
let's
What did you think of this villain?
let's discuss for 1974 on the shoestring budget that Doctor Who had always had. Not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. Again,
Oh.
you know, when you look at it in the eyes of 2024, literally 50 years later, yeah, okay, it's like we could do that on our phones.
Yeah.
But at the time, this was
Cutting
close to
edge
state of the art.
technology.
Yeah, close
Yeah.
to state of the art.
Yeah.
In the same way with the new Who in 2005, the CGI that was used in 2005 was at the time ridiculously expensive for a TV show. It wasn't until 2000, 1999 or 2000 that Star Trek used CGI
Yeah.
in
Deep Space Nine for
with
the
ships.
founders.
Yes, but I'm talking about just for all the special effects. I meant more Enterprise.
Oh no, they did. TV
yeah.
didn't use it. TV didn't use it. They only used it for the Generations movie.
Okay,
because if you look at, we just watched it on the other podcast.
Okay.
The Captain's
Well,
Podcast.
yeah, but which, by the way, you guys are really, really killing it. On
Yeah, it's that the episodes have been really, really good. I think my co-host VHS Jason Rogas, and those guys are amazing. It's just the energy that we all have is just kind of fun. So we're having a blast there, and
absolutely, and the conversation the three of you have together, just folks, if for some reason you stumble upon us without knowing Captain Joe Dove, definitely check out Captain's Quadrant. The stuff that they're doing over there is just amazing.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun.
Cheap plug for you, pal.
Cheap plug. I
you
appreciate
deserve it.
I'll take each and every one. And oh my God, we've got a special one because this week we're diving into probably one of the most beloved episodes of Star Trek, and that is the Best of Both Worlds.
Yes,
it's an ecstasy booth.
I am definitely looking forward to that. Well, actually, you know what? Okay, programming question. Will you be doing just part one, or will you be doing both parts?
Two parts. Kind of like how we do, the whole thing here. Because when you take out the commercials, it's actually like less. It's an hour and like 20 minutes. It's like a 90-minute movie. So just think about this. Each one of these is 25 minutes without the commercials. So it's about an hour.
One thing that you do have to remember, at the time, Best of Both Worlds aired, I believe, in 89 or 90 at the latest. There hadn't been a cliffhanger that big.
Yeah, that one was
since 84. Since Who Shot JR, there was there was not another cliffhanger like that until Best of Both Worlds. And the behind the scenes, I don't want to. I'll let you guys do your own research, but look into the behind the scenes of what made that cliffhanger even more intense.
Yeah.
That the fans may not have known about at the time.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, that's going to be a fun discussion. But
absolutely,
Yeah, but this robot.
So getting back to our
Doctor Who show, this robot.
This has been a commercial for the Captain's Quadrant.
Yeah, thanks for watching. No, of course, this
the
robot got confused in its
Mm-hmm.
technology. But what got me is that the Doctor figured out how to dispose this one, and we've never seen this robot again.
No, the creator also invented the ultimate annihilation of his creation, the metal virus.
Yes,
which killed it. But the think tank, let's discuss them. Since we touched on the Red Hats earlier.
Yeah.
From time immemorial, whenever you talk about the ruling class, there's always been the whole discussion of who is fit to rule. Is it the strongest? Is it the most intelligent? And let's face it, in this election year, we're seeing that it's neither for us.
Yeah.
So, and if you go, if you delve into that quandary, that philosophical issue, who is really fit to rule? Is it, is it the strongest? Is it the greatest warriors? Or is it the intellectuals? And what government would come from that?
Mm-hmm.
Both good and bad. So there's some really deep stuff in this. For 74, again, I hate to keep bringing this up, but you have to remember the time that this was. 1974. America had just gone through Watergate with Nixon. I don't know what was really going on as far as English politics, but this was a huge deal. Gerald Ford had just come into the presidency because Nixon, not retired, but
he resigned.
Resigned.
Disgrace.
Thank you.
And
resigned in disgrace.
Yeah.
Vietnam was winding down. It was a time of turmoil in not only the United States, but in the world itself. And for this little kids show to bring up an issue of, might versus intellect and who should rule, kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Kind of a big deal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And of course, you always have to think about one of the things that people love when it comes to escapism. And that's a good show that captivates your attention and makes you want more. So when they released this back in 1974 with all the things that were going on, I think that's what kind of upticked the viewership, because people were kind of down on the live events that were happening at the time. And this is also the age of stagflation starting, because they had to do the every other week gas. So, there was a lot of political things that were going on, but more importantly, there was a lot of, I'm not sure. Is this when Argentina and Britain were at odds?
If you're talking about the Falkland War incident, no, that was in the early 80s.
Oh, okay.
My knowledge of the of 70s history isn't as good as it should be, especially world history about at the time. So I really can't say. But if you were talking about the Falkland War incident, that was in the early 80s. Because I distinctly remember as a early teen watching the news and just waiting with bated breath for the anchor to go, today in the fucking islands.
Yeah, making the mistake. Yeah, I hear you.
One of those things that form your life opinion in early puberty.
So I gotta say, this was probably one of the better first episodes for the classic Who Doctors.
I would say that this was, of what we have seen so far, this was the best. With Castrovalva being a distant second.
Yeah.
And definitely a wonderful palate cleanser from what we watched last week
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was this is definitely the pickled ginger the in the sushi of Doctor Who.
Absolutely, the palate cleanser indeed. But I got to say, I did enjoy the villain. I thought they kind of scrapped him pretty easily in the
Yeah.
long term because
Hmm.
they kept shooting at him. Shooting at him didn't work. Okay, it's like, all right, well, maybe we do this, and then that didn't work. And they brought the tank, which I thought was hilarious because they did the distance shot to make it seem like the tank was bigger than it was in order to
Yeah,
compensate.
it was definitely it was obviously
It was
all I
obviously so
kept
cute.
hearing.
I was waiting for some little kid go, Daddy, Daddy, this is my tank. Don't take my tank, Daddy. You know, like
It's funny you say that because all I could think of is Patsy going, "It's just a model."
yeah. But there was a lot of fun
Mhm.
and they really
Mhm.
weren't all out for this one. And I think that's
Absolutely,
part of the reason why
and
this doctor had the longevity that he did, not only in
I
life, but in the
mhm,
show
agreed. The this first episode was definitely the strongest that we have seen so far,
of the
and
classics.
it's of the you know what, I would even put it up there as far as all all who in the
Really?
entire 60 years. I wouldn't say it was the actually, you know what, there we go, folks. Okay, folks,
A
in
poll for this week.
yes, there's our poll. Of all 15 doctors, which was your favorite first episode of
Yeah.
all 15?
Yeah.
Let's see where Robot ranks. I would put me personally, I would put Robot, I would say
Well, we got 15.
probably
There's only
third.
four or five choices, so we're gonna have to do like a tourney. We're gonna do a tournament. We'll
Mm,
do the best who gets the highest to the first,
I
who gets
like
the
that
highest to
idea.
the, and then we'll just cross it. So
That sounds like a production issue.
no, I'll figure it out. Don't worry.
Mm,
For those of you, if you're still here, Chem Dog, please be sure to check out our um community page that is
mm.
on the wonderful To Be Seen. That's this channel's wonderful
And
community
Chem
page.
Dog, definitely get back in touch with us because
Yeah, we'll
as
see you
as
something
our
cool.
first commenter, I got something special provided by Encapsulated International, our good friends in the UK. I have something just for you.
Amazing. And I think that is going to wrap it up this week. So, which doctor are we going to do? Patrick Troughton or Sylvester McCoy or the movie doctor? Those are the ones we have left.
Um,
Because
I have I have a preference.
okay,
I would definitely like to do the movie doctor, Paul McGann.
let's do it.
Okay. Absolutely. Now, for everyone watching at home, the Paul McGann TV movie is not available anywhere. It's not on Tubi. It's not on BritBox. If you happen to come across a DVD of it or a Blu-ray of it, get your hands on it because
Yeah,
that's right now. That's the only way to watch this particular episode. So if you can, if you have it, great. Definitely do your homework. Watch along, and next week, next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern
ish,
Standard Time, we
ish.
will be reviewing the Doctor Who TV movie originally aired on Fox
Fox
5 here
5.
in New
Yeah.
York.
Yeah, amazing. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for this week in the console room. Be sure to visit all of our wonderful friends, including the Scarif podcast on the Red 5 Network, pure, unadulterated nerd talk. They're probably going to be talking a lot about the Acolyte because they just dropped the trailer for that guy today. Be sure to check out the other shows on this channel, including 1 Week Later, where we review movies that are in the theater and at your home on the old uh, streaming services that you watch. Be sure to check out some of our other episodes on the console room. And like I said, we will be next week talking about, actually, no, this Friday, 9 p.m. We're going to be talking about the best of both worlds, arguably the best TNG episode ever, one of the greatest cliffhangers. Be sure to visit our friends, the Sci Fi Queens, every other Friday at 8 o'clock, right before the Captain's Quadrant, right here on YouTube. They are talking about The Women of Doctor Who, I believe, or something like that.
Oh,
Yeah, it should be fun. And TV with Tiffany will be there. That was supposed to be our guest, but circumstances happen. And then
Tiffany, hope everything's okay,
yeah,
and we look
hopefully you
forward
can
to
come.
having you on again.
Yeah, hopefully next week you can come on. And of course, we've got the Jason Roy Gaston channel, where comedy comes to die. He's a very clever and fun individual, but be sure to go check him out, and you won't regret it because his dramatic readings are quite hilarious. And of course, our producer, the man who makes all the funny and fancy bumpers and makes this thing look good. That is BHS Jace, the good buddy down in Australia, and his good buddy, life mate, so to speak, hetero life mate, Rick, are talking about movie and streaming news every Friday at 6:30 p.m. And of course, be sure to check out Encapsulated Incorporated for some amazing
Encapsulated
TV
International.
and yes, Encapsulated International, and check out all the things there. And of course, our good buddy AJ Orsini's Uncensored Mind, part of the OUM network. They've got a lot of things going on there, but it's WrestleMania season. So they are a wrestling focused podcast and they are getting into the big season. It's pointing season. That's why he's pointing up right up there to the WrestleMania sign because they're going to go and hit the 40th WrestleMania. Can you believe 40?
Yeah, I definitely have to drop them a question. They WWE, in their ongoing quest to drain fans of every penny that they have, released 4 different commemorative title belts for each decade of WrestleMania, and each one is $700.
Woo!
Yeah, and there's some kid on YouTube on TikTok who had all 4. I don't remember the kid's name, but he has come right out and flat out said that he didn't get one of them because he ran up his parents' credit card. And all I can think to myself is, this was my kid, I'd write him out of the fucking will.
Man. It's like you already got your money by getting all those
yeah, exactly.
all those wrestler belts. Yeah.
But I'm not a belt collector, but I love the beauty of a championship belt. So I definitely got to reach out to them and have a conversation about championship belts.
All right. Be sure to check them out over on the OUM network. And we will be back next week to chat more Doctor Who. Is that all? Yeah.
There's always more.
There's always more.
Actually, you know what? We do have another plug, which we will bring up again next week. One of the cast members of the Doctor Who movie, is also a guest star on DS9 on Star Trek. Her name escapes me at the moment. You know what? You do know who I'm talking about.
I don't.
She well.
To the Googles. We're supposed to be.
IMDb.
IMDb. Yeah.
Well, you know what? We'll save that for next week when I actually have her name and we can give Trek Long Island a proper plug here on
Daphne Ashbrook.
Yes, Asterbrook. She was in a great episode of Deep Space Nine where she played a disabled a lady from a planet whose gravity was greater than.
Oh wow, she's going to be in Trek Long Island this year.
She will be at Trek Long Island, and she's also will be appearing at the Pandorica.
Oh wow.
Prior to, so she played again one of the Doctor's first love interests, in the TV movie that we'll be reviewing next week.
All right, so be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll catch you next week.
See you next week.
See you next week.